Hello and welcome to what will be probably the last video for the card reveals for the new set. I believe this will cover every single card so far. I don't think we've missed anything out. If we have, and there are some more card reveals, I will cover those, but I believe that this does total out every single one. So, kicking things off, Aisha, Underworld Sovereign. This is also going to be the leader card, but it's also a new version of Aisha. It is a 4-drop 4/4 legendary for Shadowcraft with Invocation at the start of your turn. If you have at least 16 shadows, put this card from your deck into play, then lose 8 shadows. When another allied follower attacks and deals damage to the enemy leader, if this follower didn't attack this turn, perform Necromancy 8, evolve this follower. So for a total of 16 Necromancy, you can potentially have a 4/4 Storm for basically free, which is pretty cool, and works out pretty well, so that's pretty awesome. It does have to be at the start of your turn though, so it would have to be on the changeover, making it a little more awkward to, of course, get out the normal, but it doesn't gain any Evo stats, since it does get the free Evo potentially as soon as you attack with another follower, as long as this one didn't attack, so that's okay. And for Necromancy 8 and 8, I don't know how I feel about this card. It's an interesting Storm card, for sure. I don't know if the Bane effect is that handy, to be honest. It might be okay to get over things, but it is another Invocation, a free one, and that's pretty okay, so pretty happy with it overall. Very average legendary, and I think unless there's a deck that I can think of somehow that could really, really abuse this, I can't think of how it could be a crazily good card. Then we have Heretic Priest, a 6-dropper, 6/5 silver for Havencraft. Fanfare, choose, put either a Forbidden Teaching or a Red Hot Boots into your hand and change its cost to 0. I actually don't mind this card. It's a little high strung for a 6 cost 6/5, but it's nice that we're getting more choose effects, and Forbidden Teaching and Red Hot Boots aren't the worst cards to get, so definitely average. And then we have Mina Levin Vice Leader. So this actually is a token card that goes with some other cards. We'll take a look at that in a moment. It actually goes with this spell card here. It is a Meet the Levin Sisters. It is a 1-drop gold spell for Swordcraft. It does have choose, put a Mina Levin Vice Commander, Mono Levin Mage, or Mina Levin Duelist into your hand. In hand 7, put one of each into your hand instead and recover 6 play points. So I actually don't mind this. It's another play on the whole chromatic duel card, I think, that kind of thing. It makes sense, pretty straightforward. So the, of course, follower first one, Mina Levin Vice Leader, is a 2-drop 2/2 gold. Of course, it does have the 11 trait, it is for sword, and it does have Fanfare, put 11 follower from your deck into your hand. Then we have Mona Levin Mage, a 4-drop 3/3 gold for Swordcraft. Fanfare, recover 2 play points if another 11 card is in play, recover 3 instead. And then Mina Levin Duelist is a 3-drop 3/2 gold, of course. Rush, Fanfare, if another allied 11 card is in play, +1/+1. I find all these pretty interesting and cool, but also very average, unfortunately. There is a huge issue with these cards as far as looking at them, that they are all tokens, which means you can't just straight up have them in your deck. It means stuff like the new Albert card can't actually pull them. I believe there are only 3 Levin cards that Albert can actually pull, and they're all very low cost cards, making it not quite as good as Arthur as far as it goes, which is a little disappointing unless you're using it straight up for Storm. But hopefully more cards will get the Levin trait. Hopefully there'll be a retroactive thing and they add it to a few more cards, and it might make it half decent, but I'm not holding my breath because most of the cards that could get the Levin trait are also officers/commanders, and I doubt they'll do dual traits like that, so we'll have to wait and see, but could be interesting. Then we have Lounes. We'll go Lounes anyway. Levin Apprentice is a 1-drop 1/1 Swordcraft 11 card. Fanfare, gain a +0/+1 for each 11 card in your hand. Enhance 3, can attack 2 times per turn. So this card could actually be interesting. When you actually could use this with that other spell, you could potentially get a decently statted follower for defensive. The only problem is it's offensive play. So at best, if you somehow give the Storm and play it out and go for it, you could potentially, with an Evo, get 6 damage, which is cool, but outside of that, it's a little weak. It would be nice if that was a gain attack as well, or just gain attack straight up. It could have been a much more interesting card, but then it might have been a little too overpowered, so I can see why they went for the defensive play. Then we have Olivia, Blackened Wing, an 8-dropper 5/5 legendary, basically a redo of Olivia, which is really cool. Fanfare, recover X play points. X equals the number of allied followers evolved this match. Whenever you play a follower for the first time on each of your turns, give it the ability to evolve for 0 evolution points. So for the first time on each of your turns, so the first follower you're basically getting is gets a free evolution, which is actually pretty cool. The Fanfare to recover X play points does mean that once you play this on 8, you could potentially play something else out very quickly. I doubt that it counts, because this would technically be the first follower, so I don't know whether this actually gets free evo or not. See, because it does say whenever you play a follower for the first time on each of your turns, this would technically be the first play on your turn, potentially on turn 8. Interesting. Not really sure how they do the evo effects for that part, or whether it would just have to wait till the next turn to take effect. Could be an interesting card at least, and it does look like it's not a leader effect, which is super disappointing. So whenever you play a follower the first time of your turns, give it the ability to alter evo. So it does seem like you would already need this on board, which is a little disappointing, because if it does mean that, you'd have to get this to stick, and that could be a real pain. And then we have a Yurius, Traitorous Duke. So it's a 3-drop 1/5. Absolutely insane card, honestly. It is, of course, Bloodcraft because it is Yurius. So it does have Fanfare. If Vengeance is active for you, gain the ability to evolve for 0 evolution points. So that's the first thing, and it's got a 5/5 evo, by the way, so crazy. The next part, whenever an enemy follower comes into play, deal 1 damage to the enemy leader and restore 1 defense to your leader. Just that part alone. Don't worry about the evo effect yet, that's just this part. So whenever this follower comes into play, dealing 1 damage to the enemy leader and restoring 1 defense to your leader is an insane ability for Blood, especially considering the original Yurius, which is also a 3-drop, mind you, and I believe it is a 3-drop silver card, or is it bronze? I think it might be a bronze card, actually. Either way, that's already a 1/3 deal 1 damage when an enemy follower comes in. That's insane enough. This card deals damage, heals you, potentially gets a free evo, especially when you combo it with the new Blood card potentially in the early game, so you could have a 5/5 on turn 3, which would be absolutely insane. Add to the fact that the evo effect we haven't even covered yet, so other than the initial part, which is the dealing 1 damage and healing 1, it does also get during a turn whenever this follower attacks and destroys an enemy follower. If this follower is not destroyed, restore 4 defense to your leader. So basically, if it takes out anything with 4 attack, basically getting heal immediately up to full, which is absolutely crazy. So this card, really no letdown. I would immediately run this in almost every single Blood deck. It's got really very few negatives as far as it goes, which is insane. It pretty much has to be dealt with as soon as it hits the board, just because of its stats. And even if you do, it potentially could still do some insane things. So absolutely crazy card. Would replace every single normal Yurius in a deck if you can't find another slot for it, although I'd try and play both nearly. Absolutely nuts. I'm really looking forward to playing Blood, that's for sure. I could see this card being something that gets nerfed almost immediately, so if you do end up with extras of these, I definitely would not vial them yet. You'd probably get full vial cost in the next, I would say, 20 days, as this card will probably dominate. I don't see how it couldn't. It's just too insane as a card. If it doesn't dominate on its own, it will dominate in a deck build for sure, and that will be absolutely crazy no matter what. I don't see this card being bad in any situation. It can be ran in pretty much everything. It's super generic as its base, and really it's just got too much potential not to see a nerf in the future. Then we have Cat Gunner, a 2-drop 2/1 bronze card. It is a Portalcraft Rush. Fanfare, put 2 ancient artifacts into your deck. Actually, not too bad. I don't mind this card. This is going to replace a lot of the old artifact spam cards that you used to be able to put in your deck to put stuff like ancient artifact in, but those cards didn't have a rush ability and were only 2/2s, so this is actually better because a base 2/2 on the board isn't as good as getting a rush 2/1 at this stage in the game, since this will obviously trade immediately, which is cool for Portal, so could be really good. Then we have Heartsick Demon, so it is a 2-drop 2/2. It's sick, not stick, but anyway. Fanfare, if Vengeance is active for you, subtract 1 from the cost of 2 Bloodcraft cards, excluding Heartsick Demon, in your hand. This is another really cheap card, good for Vengeance Blood. Vengeance Blood getting so many support cards, it's getting really nuts now. I was actually kind of shocked once I saw a few of these Vengeance cards. It's just, wow. I knew there were some powerful ones coming for Blood, but not like this. This is just getting insane. You play this on turn 2, you've got potentially a crazy turn 3, turn 4 play already set up. This is provided, of course, you get the Vengeance setup card early, which is very possible. With the amount of draw Blood runs, you could easily have this card out before turn 5 and potentially get some nice value out of it. Then we have Omnis Prime Okami, so it's a 7-drop 4/5 legendary for Forestcraft. It does have Storm, so a 4 damage Storm is actually okay. Fanfare, return 2 other allied cards to your hand, summon X Okami, X equals the number of cards returned. Whenever an allied Okami comes into play, give it Rush, and the evo effect retains the exact same abilities. So the important part to note here, and there was also a frequently asked question card that come with this that tells you exactly how this ability works. It is return 2 other allied followers to your hand. It doesn't have to be 2. It can be, if you have 2 on board, I believe it's got to be 2. But if you only have 1 on board, say you had a goblin and this, you could then return just the 1 goblin and you get 1 Okami. So that's why it does say summon X Okamis equal. It is a pity that you can't max out your board with it. That would be really funny. If you could have potentially 4 fairies, return all 4 fairies, and then summon Okami, could be really cool. But on the flip side, I actually see this card working best with the new roach setup, since you could potentially use those roaches really easily. You have them out, you get them out on turn, say, 8, you play 1 roach, you play this, you get an Okami, you play them on turn 9, potentially even later, but you can still get some decent value out of them. So this card, pretty decent, a good storm, could be interesting. Then we have Great Goliath, a 4-drop 3/4 bronze, great stat line. Fanfare, enhance 7, gain +4/+4, enhance 10, gain an additional +4/+4. So wow, as a 10-drop, this card actually has some insane stats. So this thing will be basically what, 11-12? Yeah, an 11-12 on turn 10. It's actually good value as a card. It is bronze and it doesn't have any other effect, which does make it not quite as good, but as far as just raw stats go, this thing's a powerhouse. Then we have a Mino Crafty Reaper. It is a 1-drop 1/1 bronze for Shadowcraft. Fanfare, enhance 7, gain +5/+5, and 3 shadows. Last word, gain 1 shadow. So this is a shadow generation card, actually not too bad. It's a little high for a 7 cost. I definitely would have to consider playing it as that. +5/+5 is good. I mean, 6/6, generate 4 shadows, 5 shadows, sorry, effectively. Actually not too bad, thinking about it. Actually an okay bronze. Then we have Mina, Mad Eidolon. So it is a 4-drop 1/3. So this is the, of course, Eidolon redo. So it's Havencroft's Fanfare. If there isn't an enemy totem or madness in play, transform an enemy follower, excluding, of course, this follower, into a Totem of Madness. Clash, if an enemy Totem of Madness is in play, enemy follower give the enemy follower -4/-0 until the end of your turn. So if an enemy Totem of Madness is in play, give the enemy follower. So that's its Clash ability. Okay, so that makes sense. It also does have an Evo here by the looks of it. It retains its Clash and gets, when you play a countdown amulet for the first time on each of your turns, subtract 4 from its countdown. So it's actually pretty decent for a countdown subtraction as well, and it's only a 4-drop with an Evo effect. Wow. This actually isn't a half bad card. I'd be interested in giving it a go in a potential Amulet Haven deck. Interesting. You could potentially use this fairly well. I'd be interested to see how the Totem of Madness stacks up, since I don't know if we actually got what the Totem of Madness is here or not. If we do, we'll take a look at it when it comes up, but I don't think I've got it immediately in the line of cards here. We'll take a quick look. No, so I don't have it in the next 4 cards, so that's going to be interesting, but I don't know if the Totem of Madness actually does anything. I think the Totem of Madness just kind of sits there. So it's also a really good transform card, so this could be interesting. Splendid Fencer, a 2-drop 2/1 silver card. Fanfare, give an allied officer follower +1, enhance 5, give that follower Storm. So there you go, this is a follower that can give things Storm. For Sword, it doesn't work with, of course, Levin cards, so it's not going to work with the one we looked at before, but giving Storm potentially for Sword could be nuts. Even on an enhanced 5, that does mean you could potentially, on turn, say 7, give another 2-drop Storm and give it +1 and have some decent value going. And we have Lich, Great Tuner. It is a Tuna. I think it's Tuna. 2-drop 1/1 silver Portalcraft card. A Fanfare. Put a puppet card into your hand. Whenever an allied puppet comes into play, restore 1 defense to your leader. Retains that ability from the Evo, and the Evo also gives you an extra puppet. So you potentially get 2 puppets out of this card, generating some health. Actually not bad, don't mind this. Nice little extra puppet support. Then we have Angelic Smite, a 4-drop gold amulet. 4-drop gold spell. Banish an enemy follower or amulet. Both players draw a card. I actually like this one quite a bit. It's really cheap amulet removal. It is banish an amulet as well, which means it will kill off pretty much everything as far as it goes, which is absolutely insane. Portal now has a natural weakness, and a couple of Angelic Smites absolutely would shut down any kind of Omen portal. This will also cripple things like the Beauty and the Beast. I don't believe the new Beauty and the Beast maybe, but the old one. And other potential real problematic cards get absolutely crippled by this, so interesting. It's pretty much an instant tech for the competitive scene if you know that the meta is going to be shaped around potentially hard to remove amulets and followers. Then we have RoboWing Percent. Preset, I don't know. Either way, it's a 2-drop 2/2. Havencraft, it is a Machina card. It does have Fanfare. Put a repair mode into your hand. Whenever you play another Machina card, gain a Bane. Pretty straightforward. Not a lot to talk about with that one. It is a Wellspring Elf Princess. It is 2-drop 2/2 silver card for Forestcraft. No base effect, but does have the Evo. Put a Fairy Wisp and a Fairy into your hand. So some pretty cheap generation for something like a Fairy Wisp and Fairy. Well, that's actually not half bad for silver. Azazel the Depraved is a 4-drop 3/3 gold for Bloodcraft. Fanfare, deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. If Vengeance is active for you, deal 6 instead. So that is limited to followers as far as that goes, so that's pretty straightforward. It does also have the Evo. Change your leader's maximum defense to 10, give your leader the following effect. Can't take more than 3 damage at a time. This effect is not stackable and lasts for the rest of the match. This could potentially allow you to survive 4 damages. So range damages, of course. So if it was all 3s, if it was 3 3s and any other number, basically, you would survive at least 4 damages from a 10. This could potentially also be a nice card to boost you back up to 10. But since we have the new legendary, I don't know if you'd want to run this card necessarily, although it does have an okay fanfare, so there is that. Then we have a Nightmare Dream Eater is a 2-drop 1/1 silver card for Bloodcraft. Fanfare, Vengeance active you, gain a +2/+0. Last word, summon a Forest Bat and give it +X/+0. X equals this follower's attack before being destroyed. So this actually works as a nice hand buff support as well as not being a hand buff support, I guess. Interesting. Last word, summon a Forest Bat, of course retaining that ability for the Evolve. I was quite interested in this card as far as it goes, but it would be nice to actually gain some health. Since Forest Bats only have 1 health, you would potentially play this. If you have Vengeance, I mean, it's quite good. So turn 1 with the Vengeance activator could be interesting. There's some insane ones if you could get that turn 1 Vengeance activation going. Even turn 3 Vengeance activation going could be good for the cards like this, so interesting at least. Then we have a Swarming Wraith. It is a 2-drop 3/2. So this is like Ambling Wraith, Swarming Wraith. Interesting. Not as nice artwork as Ambling Wraith, I don't think, but Swarming Wraith, it is a Bloodcraft card. Fanfare, Vengeance is not active for you, deal 2 damage to your leader. Vengeance is active for you, deal 2 damage to the enemy leader, so more Vengeance support. Unlimited Vengeance, I've got to say, will be insane. Absolutely insane. Aggro Blood is going to absolutely storm Unlimited without even breaking a sweat. Rotation will be a little more interesting because we're a little more limited on damage cards, but should still have an extremely powerful deck anyway. So Blood, I think, definitely going to take that top spot, going to dominate pretty hard unless something can hard counter it, which I don't currently see anything that can unless someone comes up with a new deck type list, so could be interesting. Then we have Zwei, Resonant Heart. It is a 5-drop 4/4 legendary for Portalcraft. Accelerate 2, summon 2 puppets. Fanfare, put 2 puppets into your hand. Evolve, summon a Victoria. That's pretty straightforward. It's pretty generic for Zwei. It's a little disappointing that Zwei didn't get a better card, but it's at least a straightforward one and does the job. Excel 2 for 2 puppets is as good as you can get for puppet generation, and Fanfare, put 2 puppets in your hand as its normal effect as well, and getting the Evolve for a Summon Victoria is okay. And that is every single card so far, so that should be quite good. So before we close this out, I did decide to see if I could find what Totem of Madness was, and I think this is a fan mock-up of what the actual amulet does. I couldn't actually find the amulet on the official Twitter or anything. I don't know if it's going to be revealed later or if it was just a mistake in the revealing process. Either way, Totem of Madness is a 4-drop amulet, so that's the one that, of course, the new legendary will summon. It does have countdown 2, and it is, so that means it does only temporary last, and it does have last word. If there isn't an enemy Totem of Madness in play, transform a random enemy follower, excluding Mad Allion, into a Totem of Madness. So transform a random enemy follower. So since this goes to your enemy board, this would then bounce back to your board and then bounce back to the enemy's board from countdown. Assuming you already have a Mad Allion in play, you potentially have this instantly proc, possibly, or does it have to be played from hand from Allion? Either way, this could be really interesting. People have theorized that you could potentially softlock your opponent with it, which would be a really interesting way to do it, but overall, definitely one that's interesting. So that is every single card, I believe, for this expansion. Again, if there is anything I missed, I will cover it in another video. We've got a little bit of time before the next expansion, still at least a couple of days, so hopefully this will round out everything and you guys will be able to enjoy the next expansion. I know I probably definitely will. There are a lot of cards I'm super interested in and I'm really keen to try out and play, so look forward to that. We're going to have a lot of videos coming in that first couple of day period where we're going to have, of course, the pack openings, the story content, a few decks, of course, which will be nice and fresh. So if you guys did enjoy this video, hit the like button and subscribe. Until next time, guys, see ya.